Good morning, students. Welcome to our class today. I think we are a good number to start our class today, even as we wait others to join us. This is your teacher, Mr. George, and I'm going to take you through the unit, which is EL 114, which is the St. Luke's Gospel. Now, students, I told you the last class that you go and do research on the same and come with a hint over the same. So, students, uh, uh, even as we are going to start our topic today, make sure you take all your notes down, good notes for revision for your exams. Now, students, as I told you, we're going to talk about the St. Luke Gospel, which is more of the New Testament Gospel, whereby it's more focused on the New Testament history. Now, students, on the introduction part of it, here we're going to see talk about the prophets. We talk about the Messiah. We talk about the prophet, what was prophesied, and if what was prophesied came to pass. Now, students, to start with, now here we want to see about the prophets, and these prophets who were sent with an idea of the Messiah. So, were sent by God to deliver the message to the people about what God has prepared them for the future. Now, students, the idea about the Messiah was different for the Jews, and the expectation was different, whereby the message came with different time and with a different meaning, and the messages were different. Now, here, they opt that the message or the prophecy will come to pass. Now, students, by the end of this topic, we'll be able to understand both and understand and compare both the Old Testament and the New Testament. Again, students will be able to have the concept about the Messiah, both in the New Testament and both in the Old Testament. And now we'll be able to discuss again about the roles of John. John played role in the preparation of the what? Of the Messiah. Now, students, to start our lesson today, we will see the Old Testament prophecies about the Messiah and how they were sent. Now, understanding the Messiah, we'll be able to define the word Messiah, whereby it means that is an Hebrew word which means Messiah. Again, he was an anointed person who was sent or called by God to serve him. He had that blessing, he had that call by God to do his work in the gospel. Students, now we're going to see the meaning of prophecy. What does prophecy means? Prophecy refers to the prediction of what will happen in future. It is a prediction. It's not something which has happened, but it's a prediction of what will happen in future, of what will happen in future for people or for the land of a certain place. Now, the messianic prophecies here, they are kind of predictions whereby that are made by the prophets. No, the prediction, sorry, students, the prediction that were made by prophets so that to describe the coming of something gracious, the coming of either of the king and the to the Israel, or the rule of what will happen. And this happened happened through the Messiah, the prophets who were sent by God. Now, students, at this moment, we're going to look on the prophets who were sent by God to deliver his message. So God used prophets who are human beings to deliver his message to his messages to his people. The first one is that we want to look on Nathan. Nathan was a prophet. He was sent by God. He was given a message to deliver it to the people of Israel. Now, if you want to know the whole story or the history of this, you go and look on the 2 Samuel 7 verse 3. Now, students, the first thing Nathan prophesied about God. Now, remember this prophecy. Nathan will say them through either vision or a dream. So, the first one is that God will ensure that the kingdom of David will last forever. This is the message Nathan gave to the people who said that the king or God will ensure that the kingdom of David will last forever. The second one is that the heir from David lineage could rule and could rule forever. The that one that David heir shall build a house for God's name. David his heir could build a house for God's name. Another one student that David here shall be God's son, and God shall be his father. This is the promise which was made by Nathan. The last one is that David's house kingdom shall be established forever, meaning that his kingdom was to be established forever. Now, David, after the death of David, for God's mercy shall not depart from the hair of David. So, even if David dies, God's mercy and God's blessing was to remain in David's what? David is lineage. Now, students, after seeing the prophecy of Nathan, now we're going to see what Isaiah prophesied about the coming of the Messiah. The first thing Isaiah prophesied is about that the Messiah will be born of a virgin. The Messiah will be born of a virgin, meaning that the Messiah who was to come will be born of someone, of a woman who have never had a child, meaning that the Messiah was to come from a virgin who have had no child. The second one is a boy, the Messiah will be a boy and born of a virgin, born of a virgin, and it will be called Emmanuel, meaning that God with us. If students will understand that Emmanuel means God with what? God with us. Lastly, students, I wonder the Messiah will be called names. The first one is that a wonderful Messiah, a wonderful counselor, a mighty God, the everlasting Father, and the Prince of Peace. Those are the names Isaiah gave the coming Messiah. Another one student that the Spirit of God inside him, the Spirit of God inside him, mean that he will have the Spirit of God with him. He will have the Spirit of God with him. Another one will be anointed of God. He will be anointed of God. Last student, but not least, is that will be sent to preach the good news to the poor, to bring liberty to the captives, to proclaim the year of favor from God. So he will be sent to do good to the poor, to bring liberty, to enslave the slaves, to the captives, to bless those who are in need of what? Of blessing. Now, students, last thing, going to look on the characteristics of the suffering servant, meaning that the character the hope that the servant will have. The first one that he will bear the sins of humankind. So he will carry the sins of humankind at the end. He was to be oppressed and afflicted by despite and rejected. So that means that he was to be oppressed, afflicted, despised, and rejected of men. They are the provision. Then he bore severely and the degrees of submission. He will submit fully to the what? The human being. He was to be mocked and spat on, wounded. So it means that he will suffer for human beings. Again, students, he was to be pierced and wounded the sides. Second last part of it is that he was crucified with him and made intercession for the sinners. Last student, he was to be buried in a rich man's tomb. These are the prediction of the suffering servant of what will happen to him at the end and the characteristics he will have at the end. Students, that's the end of our class today, and I think some of us were taking notes. We have learned something today. Go through those notes, go and go through everything, and make sure you understand this lesson very well, even as you prepare for the exam. Now, the second thing we are going to look at the next class is that we look on the path of the Messiah, the path of the Messiah and the annunciation of the Messiah. So students, go and look on that topic, so that even when we're planning to meet the next class, make sure you have a hint of the same, so that you can learn easily with me when we meet the next class. Student, that's the end of our class. Take care until we meet the next class, and make sure you go through the notes. I'll take your attendance at the end of the class. Tell those who are not attending class to make sure they attend classes each and every time we have a lesson. Have a nice day, students, till we meet again the next class.